I've seen a lot of bad football in my day. Whether it be playing JV football at Grimsley Senior High School 8 years ago, or standing on the sideline in Death Valley watching Trevor Lawrence make his college debut and destroy Furman 48-7. I've seen it all. So when I say this was one of the worst football games I have ever had the displeasure of witnessing, you know it's pretty bad. If I wanted to waste my time last night watching a complete incompetent display of foolishness, I simply would have tuned into the presidential debate. But getting back to football, in those other games I mentioned, at least one team looked competent and decent while laying the smack down. This game, everyone looked terrible. Whether it be Carson Ince leading an Eagles offense missing 9 of its starters, Daniel Jones getting tackled by Sean Taylor in the open field, or Evan Ingram, a man Tristan called the most athletic tight end in football and said Andy Reid would dream about having, dropping what would have secured the Giants a win, it was awful. Thanks to divisions getting the automatic playoff bid, the Eagles are now a higher seed than the Packers. If this game didn't prove my point in the video I made last week about how they shouldn't be awarded an automatic playoff spot, I don't know what will. But it was bad football. It was really bad football. But that's enough for me. Tristan, as a sad Giants fan, what did you think about the complete travesty of it, and I put this in big air quotes here, football game you saw last night?
Thursday Night Football was quite possibly the weirdest game I ever watched, ever witnessed, from Daniel Jones' 80-yard run to the turnovers, to the failed fourth down conversions, to the last-minute comeback from Carson Wentz. It was even more than I expected from two one-team wins playing each other. Both teams are pretty pathetic. And let me tell you something. If you're looking for fantasy advice, don't look for it from me. The Giants lost last night to an injury-ridden Eagles team on a drive by Carson Wentz. Prior to the game, I had decided to take Joe Burrow this week for fantasy over Wentz, who then goes up to put up 27 fantasy points up on my favorite team. And as Isaiah already said in our last video, I said Andy Reid would salivate at the opportunity to have Evan Ingram in his offense. Evan Ingram is the sole reason the Giants lost on Thursday. Tipped slant interception, dropped what would have sealed the game up. He is hot garbage. I don't know why I've ever praised him. I don't know why I was praising him. I do still think he's wildly athletic, but his athleticism only translates to tight end rounds, tight end screens. He is not a phenomenal route runner, and when the game is on the line, he becomes a handless wonder. I feel bad for Joe Judge because he is coaching his ass off. Unlike the Shermer regime, the players seem to be playing with passion. The only problem is the offense has 0 to no talent, especially with Saquon out. Sterling Shepard is another sprained ankle, another concussion away from retirement. Golden Tate is a journeyman, and Andrew Thomas and Cameron Fleming are the worst offensive tackle duo I think I've ever seen in the NFL. I've given my opinion on Daniel Jones' pass. I've corrected my opinion on Daniel Jones in our last video. But what is he supposed to do when the tackles are this atrocious? Dave Gettleman shouldn't be in the job. It was frustrating watching that game as a Giants fan. The silver lining is maybe we get one step closer to getting Trevor Lawrence. That would be phenomenal, or even Justin Fields. I'm a big Justin Fields fan. It was just a weird game to watch, frustrating game to watch. And as a Giants fan, I'm just the NFC East in 2020 year confuses me.
So do you see where I'm coming from? You'll never say you agree, but do you see where I'm coming from when games like this happen? The Eagles take over the 1 seed in the NFC East, where I say maybe some division shouldn't always get a playoff bid. The lunacy starts making sense when this happens.
Where I start to agree, I think teams should still get a playoff bid. Where I think the weirdness comes in is the home field advantage. I think because I think divisions deserve to still be important. They deserve to have significance within the NFL. But when it comes down to the automatic home field advantage, I think that's where changes might need to be made.
Tristan, the only thing either of these two teams deserved last night was the old Yeller treatment and getting taken out back and shot. This was not a good football game, and this was, from what I can tell with the Andy Dalton situation, the best the NFC East has to offer. But we're getting abroad afield. I'd like to go back and talk about the Thursday Night Football game. I'll say this, and I'll let Tristan respond. How's Andrew Thomas doing? I mean, I know you say he's one of the worst tackles in football. How's his run blocking? Like, I hear someone had some valid criticism of prior to the draft, and well, you know, he's getting slung
Isaiah,
off.
what are you
How's
looking
that
for?
going?
I said you were right in the last video. What do you want me to do? Say it again? I said you're right,
Yes.
and I apologize for you. But as far as the Eagles go, they are the best of the worst in the NFC. Everyone on their team is injured, yet they're somehow still finding ways to compete. Last night was their worst game in the last 3 weeks, ironically coming against one of the worst teams in the NFL, but they competed with Baltimore, and they lost by 2 points. Against the Steelers, they competed, losing 38-29. I think they'll probably be able to get to 7 wins this year, as crazy as that sounds. Carson Wentz, he's been throwing interceptions, but he makes plays when it matters most. Unlike Daniel Jones last night, who when the game matters, when the game is on the line, he takes a sack fumble. The rest of the game, he can be competent, but when it comes down to it, he doesn't make the play. I think the Eagles may have a chance if they get everyone healthy, just due to the fact that against the Ravens, they look pretty decent, but pretty good against the Steelers. Maybe they'll be able to bring everything together near the end of the season.
I disagree with you on that, but the audience doesn't want to hear us go back and forth. We'll close the video out with this. Worst moment for a quarterback based in New Jersey. The butt fumble or Daniel Jones getting tackled by the turf monster?
Considering one was an 80-yard run and one was a touchdown the other way, I think the worst one is for Mark Sanchez.
See, you're going to call me biased again, but Vince Wilfork played a direct role in the Mark Sanchez butt fumble. Like, he hurled that offensive lineman into Mark Sanchez. Like, I'd probably fumble if someone threw an offensive lineman into me with Vince Wilfork on the other end of it. I feel like if I had the ball there where Daniel Jones was and I was running full speed, I'd probably score. Granted, I'm slightly slower than Daniel Jones, so I may not have gotten in that position.
You're talking about the quarterback who's reached the fastest speed out of any quarterback in the NFL this year.
Now, is that while or before he fell?
Obviously before he fell.
I don't know. You think slinging his head forward might give him a
He
little
ran
bit
faster than
extra-
Derrick
Wouldn't-
Henry's 94-yard touchdown.
Wouldn't that be funny, though, if, like, the thing which tipped him over gave him that extra 0.3 miles an hour was, like, the act of him tipping
No,
forwards?
his speed slowed down as he got there because I don't think the funniest part about it is he obviously didn't realize I don't think he knows how fast he actually is.
Well, if he doesn't know how fast he is, you gotta wonder who does. But that play just perfectly summed up last night's game. That is the first time in a while I've had to sit down and laugh at a successful NFL play, a play which gained that many yards.
The Giants suck. I hope you enjoy my pain. I hope you enjoy my suffering. I know Isaiah does. Like the video, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of the Giants or Eagles and Giants game since the Eagles won. What do you think about the NFC East? And we will see you in the next video.